you about my stillbirth, the actual birth part. I was 34 weeks and 5 days when I gave birth to my daughter on April 7th of 2014. It started out on April the 5th, a Saturday. I woke up with my hands super itchy with a rash on the inside of my hands, and I'll put a picture in there. I felt weird. Everything felt off. That morning I called my husband into the room because he'd already been awake before me. I asked him to bring me some juice because I hadn't felt the baby moving. So he brought me some juice and I laid there for a good 5 to 10 minutes and wait for some movements. I got movements out of her, a good 10 of them. Normally her movements are instant, like I will drink the juice and then instantly I will start feeling her movements. This time it took a little longer, about maybe 5 minutes to get all of the movements. So I got the movements and I said, okay, we'll just go about our day. I'll just take it easy and monitor what I feel from her. I didn't feel a whole lot, but I was feeling stuff, so I was feeling okay. I just knew that, you know, the further into your pregnancy, the less the movements get, so the less frequent. So Sunday I woke up and I just felt something was so wrong, you know, something was really wrong. So we took it easy all that day. I felt a couple movements from her, but nothing like normal. So later that night at about 4 o'clock, I told my husband, I'm gonna go lay down. I don't feel right, you know, she doesn't really move that much. So we did another kick count, and after the 2 hours, I got 6 movements from her, and it wasn't her normal movements. It was just like a poke or a slight turn, but nothing really big. So I called our labor and delivery and I told them, you know, what was going on, and they said, you know, just take it easy, drink some more juice, and in 30 minutes call us and let us know what goes on. So before the 30 minutes was up, they ended up calling me. I let them know that she only moved 2 more times, so that was a total of 8 movements in 2.5 hours. So they said, well, come on in and we'll just monitor you and see, you know, how things look. So we got there about 7:30, and I was having contractions, but nothing too serious. I could feel the contractions, but it wasn't hurt. It didn't hurt, and it wasn't, you know, anything out of the norm for me. So they put us on the monitors and hooked us up, and her heartbeat was great. It was 140 to 150 beats per minute, and she just wasn't moving much. So they came in and got this little thing and put it down under my stomach to, I guess it's some shock waves. They did that 3 times, and finally on the 3rd time they got a response from her. So they said that I'm just dehydrated and that I need to go home and drink plenty of water. So, but before that, the doctor had came in and he ultrasounded us and checked the fluids, and all the fluid was good. They looked at her, the umbilical cord was clear, it wasn't around her. So everything looked good and reassuring. He just told me that I'm small, I'm 4'11", and that, you know, my baby's getting big. This is the end of the pregnancy where they start gaining more weight. So he said, I just need to go home, take it easy, and if things aren't back to normal within 24 hours, then I need to call them back. So on Monday morning, on the 7th, we woke up around 6 o'clock and I checked for some movements. She did. She gave me 3 quick movements, and I was okay with that, but I wasn't, it just was okay for me. So I went back to sleep and I woke up at about 10 o'clock. I ate breakfast. Normally when I eat breakfast, she will move around and start going crazy, and she didn't. So I ate some more breakfast thinking maybe she'll move again, and she didn't. So I went and took a bath, and normally when I take a bath, she starts moving around and grooving move in, and she still didn't. So after the bath, I went and ate lunch, and this was probably 11:30, 12, and she still didn't move, so I chugged a whole can of Mr. Pibb, and that didn't work either, and so my radar's going up, and so I went to go lay down and chug some water to see if that would help, and that still didn't help. So 2 o'clock I called my mom and I told her what was going on, and she said, call the doctor and let them know. So I tried to call my doctor, and they just put me to the nurse's line, and she didn't answer. And so then I called my sister and I asked her, what should I do, because she's had 3 kids. And she said, well, call the appointment line and try to make an appointment. Well, tell them you don't need an appointment, but you need to talk to a nurse as soon as possible. So I did that, and the nurse was getting off at 3 o'clock, and this was probably about 2:45, and I told them, what was going on. I told them I don't think I can wait till tomorrow to talk to the nurse, and so they had the nurse call me, and I told the nurse everything about the night before and today as of Monday. And she started freaking out, telling me, you need to get back to labor and delivery. You should have never ever been sent home. That was a big mistake on their part. That if she wasn't responding well, she has no idea why they sent me home. So at this point I'm freaking out and crying, and I called my husband and I said, you need to get home from work now. We need to go to the hospital. The nurse said it's pretty serious. We live on a military base, and the hospital's on the base, so it's about a mile drive. That's where my husband works. So he came home and picked me up, and we went there about 3:45, 3:30. And then we get there, and they're not really taking me seriously. They just put me into the triage room and start going over everything. And I told him about my hands, and I told him the doctor the night before wasn't really concerned about my hands, and they all were, there was training doctors, there were nurses, and everybody was coming in and examining my hands and wanting to know where else I had this rash, and I didn't really have it anywhere else, and they wanted to know if I itched, and I got to thinking, and yeah, I did itch. I itched my legs, my boobs itched really bad. Under where the wire of your bra goes, my skin was raw. And so they sent the real doctor in, and she came in and told me about a condition called cholestasis, that it affects the liver and the bile, and that they were going to test me for it, but the test didn't come back for 3 days. So the doctor decided to do an intense ultrasound and monitor the baby for 30 minutes, and so we did that, and you could see her heartbeat, and it was great. You could see her breathing, which the doctor said that's the best breather she'd ever seen. And she said that after looking at the ultrasound, she's concerned, then she was going to go talk to her high-risk doctor and consult with him. And he decided it would be best to be monitored for another 6 hours. And after the 6 hours, I was going to give birth to my daughter. So at 7 o'clock, they told my husband, we're going to admit her, go home, let the dogs out, bring her diaper bag, and all the exciting stuff that you're going to need. So he went and did that, and I got up and went to the bathroom, took the monitors off, and got back on the bed so they could wheel me over to the actual labor and delivery rooms. And that was about 7:45, almost 8 o'clock. Right when I was about 8 o'clock, they started hooking us back up, and the nurse was like, can you roll over on your side? I'm just getting a low read, and I think I might be getting yours. So she put me on my side, and the doctor, there was another doctor from the night before, the one who sent me home, was in the room, and he came in and he said, well, you didn't tell me about your hands. And I said, well, I did, because he told me, he looked at my hands and said, oh, well, you're still wearing a ring, everything's fine, pregnancy. And so he sent me home, So on Monday, when they were admitting me, he came in and was doing my pre-admittance paper, and